Hello BookTube, welcome back to my channel, Motley Reads. This is Dario. It's a Friday afternoon or Friday evening, it's becoming soon here in Sweden. I just got back home from work and jumped straight into making video because I was on my way back in the car. I was thinking about what video could I make, and I got really fired up about the random non-fiction videos that the first of them was by Karen Evans, and then Jason did it. Jason in Bives in Bookland, and Mark Nash did another one. Maybe there are some others that did it. And what it's all about, it's not really a tag. It's just you walk through a number of random offbeat non-fiction books that you have in your library. Just pick any theme, and then I came home from work, and then I was start browsing through my shelves. I found lots of books there, but then I said, okay, I need to delimit myself. So I picked 6 books that I will talk to you about. 3 of them are on a kind of more serious theme, and then 3 of them are more of let's call it leisure theme, so to say. So I will not keep you anymore, and I will start talking about the books now. So first book is this one. It's the name of the book is the Nuremberg Interviews, and that's the title. Subtitle is An American Psychiatrist's Conversations with the Defendants and Witnesses. It is by Leon Goldenson, Dr. Leon Goldenson. So he is the army psychiatrist of the American Army, and he's writing here about his encounters with the guys that were standing on a trial in front of Allied forces in 1945 after World War II, Nazi guys, it is very close portrait of each of these people. I've read lots of books about World War II and biographies, also about the protagonists, and I have never come so close to these guys like in this particular book. It is written by a psychiatrist, and it is you can almost feel these guys walking around in their cells and thinking about what has happened, what did they do, and many of them don't see really their guilt in it all. You get some historical view of things, at least from their perspective, and you get close to sick minds of some of these guys. You find figures that you know from before, probably like Hermann Göring, like Rudolf Hess, like I think that Alfred Jodl is here as well, Karl Dönitz, all these big guys, generals, and the people that were around Hitler. But you also find some of the guys that are less known, like Sepp Dietrich, Joseph Sepp Dietrich, who was a commander of SS Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler, was a Panzer Division of SS. He was Nazi, but he was also respected and tough soldier. You find Rudolf Höss, who was commander of the concentration camp Auschwitz, a guy who has on his conscience, or if he had a conscience, he would have on his conscience millions of Jews that died in Auschwitz. So this book is really quite interesting, and at the same time terrifying encounter with these guys. So I can warmly recommend this one, especially for the people who are interested in World War II. Second book that I would like to talk about is this one, The Big Capital, Who is London For, by Anna Minton. This book is about the consequences of housing policies and gentrification in large cities, especially in the West, and particularly London. What has happened in London is what has happened in many other cities, is that the city is changing its face, and the lots of original inhabitants and original classes of people that they've been living in the city, they're pushed out from the city and to leave place for investors, basically, who are investing in property and buying property as investment objects rather than places to live. I love London. London is a place where I go quite a lot. I go with my family at least once per year, and I travel to London there at least a dozen of times during the year, during a year. And I also witnessed how the place has changed over the particularly last 15 years. You see that the neighborhoods like Knightsbridge or Chelsea, they are getting more and more like a stage. Basically, everything is very neat, everything is very nice, but it's without life. The only people who are around there, some occasional retiree walking around, or people who are staying at boutique hotels in that area. The rest is, it seems like the investment objects, very much for investors from Middle East, from Russia. So city is completely sold out, and it's sold out in a way in a very ugly way, against the way that is ugly against the people who were originally living there. What is typically happening is that the property owners refurbish a building, and then after refurbishment they increase rent, and then the people who be living there, they cannot afford to live there anymore, so they need to move out from that whole area to suburbs of London. What also happens with people who own property on attractive locations, their property is by decision of city council, they need to sell their property to city council, that will then hand it over or sell it to developers. People who are forced to sell it on paper, they get the fair market price, but what they get in reality, the money that they get, they cannot buy anything in the same area, so they also need to move out. Then there are laws there that are regulating that you need to have a certain portion of social housing as well. That social housing is really, in the same building you can have A and B status of inhabitants. Social housing guys who are getting through own door into same building, like the regular inhabitants, and it's not really they're not really living in the same place. So lots of these things are happening in London, and you could think that that's exactly what it is, the right wing Tory politics, but what you also see, what she's also presenting is that it's not really true. It is quite a consistent housing policy that has been run over a long period of time by both Tory and Labour governments. The policy consistency is the same as it was, basically the same person running it over decades. Very well researched. Although it's a thin volume, it contains quite a lot of information, lots of data, and also stories from people that get impacted by this. So, Big Capital, Who is London For? Very good one. Third book in this, kind of a more serious part is this one, Everything is Negotiable. How to get the best deal every time. It's a kind of a business self-help book, if you like, where you learn how to see negotiation in a more sober way from your perspective, because every time that there is some transaction of goods and or services between two people or groups of people, negotiation is possible. Even if you hear that, okay, this is not negotiable, this is the price, it is always negotiable, always. And there are tricks that are very useful. How do you deal with these types of situations? How do you initiate a negotiation? How do you turn things into your advantage during negotiation? How do you deal with difficult types of people, difficult styles in negotiation. So this book is presenting with anecdotes and really hands-on examples, and you also have, you can also do some exercises yourself in a very, very fun and down-to-earth way. It can help you both in business life but also personally. I never pay a price that is advertised ever. Even if I buy clothes, when I go to a shop, I never pay what they ask. I always pay less. You always negotiate everything. If I buy a new suit, I don't pay what they ask. I pay less. You can do that. You cannot do that online, obviously, but you can do it. You can do it in a shop always. And this book, gives you quite lots of insight. It can also give you courage to try if you do not have courage to try. It's a lot of fun, actually. So this one is recommended. Now, the 3 more leisure-like books are coming up. First of them is this one, The Rights of Ultrarunners, A Journey to the Edge of Human Endurance by Adharanand Finn. Adharanand Finn is a journalist who has observed this trend of endurance sports gaining more and more ground, especially in the age groups 35 plus. People and more people are doing long distance running. They are doing marathons, and this book says that marathons are not longer enough. Pain is to be relished, not avoided. Hallucinations are normal. So ultra running has become a sport that is growing, one of the sports that is growing, that has the largest growth among all the sports. So Adharanand Finn wanted to explore this. So the way of exploring this was that he had an ambition to join and run a 105-mile Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc race. It's a legendary race, also called the UTMB. It's a legendary race where you need to qualify by doing a set of qualifying races of ever increasing difficulty. So he's going through all these qualifying races, meeting lots of people, and talking about the different aspects of ultra running until he reaches the UTMB. It is very fun reading. You meet lots of characters, guys like Zach Miller, who is really original in this context. This is a guy that when he starts a race, he starts at maximum. He's running like hell. Until he just falls down. So there is actually a video on YouTube when he won. I think it was 2016 or something like that. He won a 50-mile race, North Face 50-mile race. There is a video on YouTube showing his last mile that he's running until it comes to finish, and he's running that last mile like a first mile. He's running his heart out. So this is one of the characters that you meet here, and there are several other characters. Really, really fun book to read. And these 105-mile ultra Trail de Mont Blanc is just one of the races. There are even longer races. You have races like a Spartathlon that is 245 kilometers long, race between Sparta and Athens that is run every year. I met a 3-time winner, Rune Larsson, a Swedish runner, who told me about these races. He was telling me once he was running a race, and after like 150 kilometers he was chased by dogs, and then he was trying to run away from them, but they caught him up, and one dog he bite his leg. And he said that he bite my leg. I see a dog, and I kind of carrying a dog with me, but I don't feel any pain because I'm already in such pain that additional pain is just gave nothing. And I'm in a lot of pain, and I'm full of adrenaline. So that was really nothing. And every time he won a race, the first thing that happens when he wins a race, he gets to the hospital or on intensive care. So they try to save his life. So they are these guys are really they are for real. So and this book is very, very interesting read, especially if you like to run, and if you think about taking up ultra running. This is the one. Okay, we have then book number 5. Or book number 3 in this, leisure, book number 2 in this leisure series is, it might be unexpected for a guy like me to read this, but this is this one. The best skin of your life starts here, busting beauty myths so you know what to use and why. And this book is written by Paula Begun, and Paula Begun, she's a legendary skincare guru. She's a founder of the skincare brand Paula's Choice, that is skincare brand that the people who know about skincare use. I read this book, and this is very, very useful reading. It teaches you a lot about how do you deal with general skincare, how do you set up your skincare routine, which skincare products you need, which ones to avoid, how do you stop acne, breakouts, how do you heal dry skin, how to treat special skin problems, and so on. Why I read this book is because I spent a number of years in my career in skincare and cosmetics. So this was a book that I had all my managers actually to read, to understand really what is that we are selling, one, if you want me to summarize, only one advice that everybody should take to heart. If all these skincare routines, they can be quite complex, but if you want only one advice, how to protect your skin and the limit aging of the skin, is SPF, sun protection factor. That solves most of the problems with the skin, because the skin is subjected all the time to sun rays. Even if it's cloudy outside, you are subjected to that, and the UV light is aging the skin. So if you're using a UV filter, you are helping your skin with that, like with anything else. Then there are other things that kind of work and semi-work, but if you want one thing, it's sunscreen. Okay, and then there's the last book, and the last book is an interesting one. Is this one? I'm sure that many of you have read it, or at least heard about it. It's a book. The book name is The Dirt, and it's a book about Motley Crue, the rock band. And the subtitle here is Confessions of the World's Most Notorious Rock Band, with Tommy Lee, Mick Mars, Vince Neil, Nicky Sixx, and Neil Strauss. Neil Strauss wrote this book based on the conversation with the band members. Nick Strauss wrote some other books that are not as good as this one. But this was really, really fun, especially if you grew up during 80s with the music like the music of Motley Crue, then you get quite a lot of out of it. It is very funny. It is written based on the anecdotes that the band was telling. It is also telling about the story of each of the band members, and there are lots of photographs from that time. Some of the photographs, many of the photographs I recognize from the magazines from 80s, and it's really sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It is living the myth. If I think if 30% of what is said here is really true, which when you read it you have a reason to doubt, it's the hello story. So it is I recommend this reading. I got this book from my students when I was teaching in grad school back in 2004. They were reading this book. They were all into this, and you need to read it. So I got this book, and it was really, really fun to read. So The Dirt. So these are my 6 books in the random non-fiction tag. I could have continued for a while now, but I don't think that you guys want more of me. So until next time, see you.